planning sessions for everything from event planning to repairing the building to mapping out a budget that depends on the generosity of those who care about the church and value the ways that the church enriches our lives and contributes positively to the well-being of our neighbors. The question, how do we grow the church, has, I assume, always been part of the ongoing conversation about what the church means in our lives. Often when I'm asked the question, how do we grow the church, I respond with a clarifying question, which is, what are we talking about when we talk about growth? I ask this because my work in ministry has exposed me to many different understandings of what we mean by growth in communities of faith. Some of those terms, some of those meanings of growth are not interchangeable. Suffice it to say, often when we're inquiring about the methods and the means of church growth, we're not talking so much about spiritual growth in the Christian tradition as we're talking about organizational survival. The cultural waters in which we swim demand that we measure success and viability in terms of financial concerns. And those concerns tend to feed into anxieties, which in turn motivate the question, how do we grow the church? That question becomes increasingly anxious as we attach it to money. I'm not so naive as to think that organizational finances bear no significance on the ways that we live into the mission of the church. After all, even the apostles of Jesus designated someone to be in charge of their collective finances. They had a treasurer. On the other hand, I would like to pose a question that challenges the ways that we think about church finances. The question is, do we spend as much time and energy living into the commissions of Jesus as we spend looking for ways to keep the church financially viable? I ask this with an awareness that both need to be taken into consideration, but also with an awareness that the two considerations need to find a certain equilibrium in relation to one another. I wonder, though, if we are disproportionately inclined toward allowing the practicalities of financial stewardship to impair our willingness to take faithful risks in the name of Christ. After all, we, just like the apostles who risked so much by leaving home and family and even livelihood to follow Jesus, are called to give freely of the gift that we have freely received through Jesus. We're called, even now, when we would prefer to think that we know better, to bring health to the sick, to raise the dead, to touch the untouchables, to kick out the demons. That was Jesus' commission to his disciples. As faithful people who gather each week in the name of Jesus Christ, we are still called to do these things, even if we're thinking about them in different terms, in different ways, as we address them. This was Jesus' answer to the question, how do we grow the church? Take the power that you've been invested with as someone who professes faith in Jesus the Christ and heal the sick. Take that power that lay dormant and battered by self-doubt and resurrect the things of value that have passed from our memory. Take the risk to set aside your fear and worry and reach out to those whom you have been told are untouchable. Take courage in Jesus and name and call out the demons that wreak havoc in our homes and in our neighborhoods. The demons of addiction and materialism and cultish loyalty to faulty human beings who promote themselves as saviors. This is precisely how we grow the church. But I feel like that's not the kind of growth we're often talking about. Or maybe it's just that we're not ready for that kind of growth just yet. It does call us into religious and spiritually hungry people that you know right now. If there's no one like that in your life, then pray that such people will come into your life. And think about the people that you know who are in the most need of healing. And as you consider who those people are, think about how you would phrase in your own words the invitation to come and see. What makes this church meaningful to you as a place of worship, as a place of healing, as a place of spiritual growth. Over the next few days, invite those people to come and see what is happening here. Expect that as we take on this challenge, God will reveal opportunities for growth that have been here all along, but that we haven't viewed through the eyes of others. In other words, if we invite people to come and see what we think is so special, we will see that blessing anew. If you can't think of a single person that you would invite to come and see what God has in store at this church, then pray that God will inspire people to come bearing the Spirit of Christ so that we may more clearly see the opportunities to which God is calling us. The good news is that God is faithful, and that where we come to God in faith, we will receive the things that we ask for. But first, we need to ask ourselves,